Welcome back to another live and amplified special of the Hoedown Showdown here live at CRS. And we have a very special guest joining us. We have John Barry. How's it going today?
Going great. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. I'm first time here at CRS.
Oh, really?
So I'm a little sensory overload, I guess is the best way to kind of word it. So
Yeah, my first one was in 1994.
Oh, wow.
I've been to a few.
Nice.
I haven't missed many.
How have you seen it grow over the last few years?
Well,
the years, I guess.
It's kind of cool that it's here at the Omni Hotel and all that. But back when I first started coming, it was at Opryland.
Okay.
And that was magical, because everybody stayed in the hotel. Everybody was there all weekend for a long, actually Wednesday through Saturday. It was like being, we refer to it as Camp CRS.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun. And just all the music going on in all the different suites at night, and just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But it's cool down here because there's a lot of music in town and a lot of people playing on all the streets and all the different clubs and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a lot going on, which is, I guess that wouldn't be Nashville if there wasn't a lot going on.
Always a lot going on.
And, I like the idea of essentially a music festival indoors, and just not having to worry about the elements.
Yeah.
So that's always cool. So you're originally from South Carolina, correct?
Yeah, originally from Aiken.
Aiken, so
South Carolina.
What was it like growing up in Aiken?
Well, I don't remember too much of it. I left there when I was 8 years old, but it was really cool because I think back on it. We lived in Crosland Park, which was at the time a nice little quiet family neighborhood, and we knew all of our neighbors. And down the street, 5 houses was my aunt and uncle, and down another street, right out the front of our house, was my aunt's mom, and a couple of streets over were 2 of my cousins' families, and another aunt and uncle lived in the neighborhood. I mean, there were tons of berries in the neighborhood, and so it was a cool place for a kid to grow up.
Nice. And so where does music kind of come into play? Is it something that's always been there? Was your family musical, or was it something you discovered later?
A lot of music in our house. My mom loved gospel music, and my dad, strangely enough, being a construction worker, carpenter, he loved to listen to Van Cliburn play the piano. He loved Van Cliburn's piano. And then my sister was 6 years older, and so she was always listening to pop radio and the Beatles and Carole King and all that kind of stuff. And then my brother somehow got interested in classical music and became a cellist. He played the cello, and he was an opera singer. Go figure. And then I don't know, I started playing guitar when I was 12, and at that time singer-songwriters were kind of ruling the radio airwaves, and people like John Denver, Cat Stevens, and Harry Chapin, and Jackson Brown. The Eagles came out during that time, and that's kind of the music I was really drawn to. Nice.
And so when did you kind of start writing your own music?
Probably 1973, 74.
Okay.
I cut my first album in 1979, a record called Humble Beginnings. I hope none of your listeners ever hear it. It's horrible. But I did 6 albums before I ever got a record deal, and it was a real learning process. And I learned a lot along making these little records, little homemade albums.
Yeah.
I did 3 of them in a little studio my dad helped me build at our house. And then I cut one in a studio in Atlanta, then one in a studio in Athens, Georgia, where I moved to and lived most of my life. And then I cut my last independent record in Nashville before I got a record deal. And then I did, I don't know how many albums on Capitol and Lyric Street Records and Arc 21. And now I'm making records on my own again. So
Nice. So you were cutting records back before we had all the fancy technology that we, like, as an independent artist and on your own.
You have more technology on this recorder than I cut on your little palm hand recorder than I recorded my first 4 albums on.
Oh, yeah. My dad tells me that every time, because he used to do radio back in high school.
Oh, yeah.
And it was tape to tape, like digital or analog.
Like you got a 4-track recorder right here. We would record 4 tracks, and then we'd mix it down to a 2-track reel-to-reel. We'd take the reel-to-reel off of that machine, put it on the 4-track machine, and it has 2 more tracks open. we'd record 2 more tracks and mix that down for so it was 6-track recording.
Oh, wow. That's, yeah. It's I went into a radio station when I was like 5 or 6 years ago, and they were asking me like what interface I used to do like the podcast and my radio show and stuff, and I told them, they're like, you have a better setup than we do, and we've been in business for 90 years. And I'm like, it was like $400, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna complain. I'm not gonna complain about it, but you know, it does
cool.
its job. So
yeah.
So we got a couple of CDs sitting here in front of us. It looks like a greatest hits album.
Yeah, that's my hits album, and it's got all the songs that were on the radio over the years. And then my most recent record is called Find My Joy, which is a gospel record. It's I guess 6 classic hymns that anybody who grew up going to church would know.
Yeah.
And then 4 new songs of faith, including the title track, Find My Joy, that was written by the great Steve Dorff.
Nice. And is that something that you've started exploring more recently, or is that kind of always how your music's been?
Well, I've always had, there's always been some Christian elements to my music, because that's just who I am as a person,
Yeah.
and my faith is very important in my life. And so I went through throat cancer 5 years ago. Yeah, January 4th of 2019, I was diagnosed with throat cancer.
Oh, wow.
And so I went through radiation and chemotherapy and had my tonsils removed. They found tumors in both of them, all that stuff. And I've been wanting to cut this record for a long time, but it never came together. But after going through that cancer treatments and surviving that and still being able to sing and feeling very blessed that God had restored my voice, I went in with a very grateful heart and recorded this album called Find My Joy.
Awesome. Has it changed your voice at all, or is it pretty much? No? Okay.
Actually, people think it's a little stronger.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go figure.
It's always interesting when because I've heard like stories of, musicians that they go through something with the throat or get something removed in that, or cancer or tumors or whatever, and it impacts their voice.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if that was something that you dealt with, or.
Yeah, I've been very blessed that I'm still can sing and it sounds like me. So.
Nice. So with this, Find My Joy out now, what's the response been to it?
People have really enjoyed the heck out of it, and had some people tell me how much it's meant to them, and some of these old classic hymns that people that have grown up going to church would know them, and I think it's some really special things on there. Steve Dorff did a beautiful job producing this record, and it's one of the new songs on the record is a song called Something Bigger Than Me. That's with the all of a sudden the name of the symphony, I'm just drawing a blank. Utah Symphony Orchestra.
Okay.
Utah Symphony Orchestra plays on it, and it's mind-blowing beautifully. Just a beautiful song.
Nice. Awesome. I had a chance to listen to a couple of tracks on my drive up, but then again, I was in the car for 12 hours, so they probably came on a couple of different times.
There you go.
And I don't usually listen to Christian contemporary music, but I enjoyed it. So
well, thank you. Well, that's one thing about it. It's not contemporary.
Okay.
It's old. It's old school.
Fair enough.
It's done in the way that it's not like modern Christian music at all. It's very much the way I remember these songs being done as a kid, and except the fact that we put an orchestra on them.
Yeah.
So it's just really beautiful.
Fair enough. Awesome.
Whole different thing.
Awesome. So, what's the rest of the? I guess, are we in spring yet, or are we still in what?
Well, it's end of February. So
end of February. So what's the everything leading up to like summertime looking for you? You playing shows?
I'm heading to North Carolina this weekend, and then I've got I'm going out to Texas for a week run of shows, acoustic solo shows.
Nice.
And I can't remember. It's just a lot of one-offs here and there.
Gotcha.
So
whereabouts in Texas are you going? Fair enough.
Somewhere in Texas.
Somewhere in Texas. That should be a song.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, I got 3 stops in Texas, and then 4 stops, and then I come back home, and 2 weeks later I go back out for 2 more. So.
Okay, fair enough. Awesome. So outside of music, when you get time to relax or whatever, what are some of your hobbies outside of music?
Keeping my bus running.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sat on the side of the road for 4 hours yesterday with it. So.
Oh, that's.
Tore up axle.
Oh,
Yeah, had to get it towed to the shop. I was wondering what I was going to do with that $1,000. Now I know.
Right. That's why I had to get rid of my old car, because that was me. Like every other time I hit the road, I had a '94 Crown Vic for a really long time, and that thing was just tossing all kinds of issues at me at some point. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get rid of this, because at some point the brake line's gonna go and I'm gonna be doing 90 down the highway, and that's not gonna be a good look.
I hear you. So it's not gonna end well.
Yeah, for sure. So if anybody wants to check out your socials or listen to your music or interact with you,
socials are all John Barry Music.
Okay.
Website johnbarry.com.
Awesome. And then just as we kind of wrap this up, what's one piece of advice you have for the young musicians out there?
My wife says, don't say that, but I'm going to say it anyway. My advice for young musicians are two things. One, be where the people who can help you can help you.
Mm-hmm.
If you live in the middle of absolutely nowhere and you're in country music, you're obviously in the wrong place. You need to be where the people who can help you, and that's here in the Nashville area, or someplace where there's country music, where there are people that can help you out.
Yeah.
They can't help you if you're not there. Doesn't mean you have to sell everything and move to Nashville. You just have to be here some and make a presence. Yeah. Come here and play and do some showcases, and go play at some clubs. Find out all the places the industry people go to hear music. Go get heard, and then be available at least part of the time.
Yeah, for sure.
The other thing is, if you've gotten yourself a record deal and you're still listening to somebody, which most of the time when people get record deals, they think they're bulletproof, and they don't listen to anybody. The piece of advice is, it's going to end.
Yeah.
It's going to end.
At some point, it's going.
One of these days, you'll get your last big check. One of these days, you'll make your last dollar. Treat everyone like it's the last one you're going to get.
Yep.
Because one day, it's going to end.
Yep.
Period.
That's the best advice I've heard anybody give. Yeah. So it's, and it speaks to financial literacy in general. Just
I never had anybody. I even had a finance person who's getting percentage on my income.
Yeah.
And nobody told me about investments and all that stuff. I had to figure that all on my own.
Fair.
Crazy.
But really appreciate your time.
You bet, brother.
Thank you so much, and we'll talk to y'all later.